All right, welcome back. We've had a couple weeks off, so we are back to business. Looking at Chapter 4, how much physical activity is enough? If we take a look, we're going to start by talking about three basic principles of physical activity. The first one is the principle of overload. The second one is the principle of progression. And the third one is the principle of specificity. We'll get into these a little bit. Overload is an increased demand on your body, overload or stressor that forces adaptation. The body was designed to be active. If sedentary, fitness decreases and health suffers. So overload, you're looking at overloading the stress that you do on it, whether it's eustress or distress, overload is going to occur. But one thing that you want to do is you want to eustress it by increasing the amount of time that you're running, the pace that you're running, distance that you're running, or in the weight room, the amount of weight that you're lifting or the amount of reps that you are actually doing. Also, there is a nice little summary of what overload principle is. Actually, has some information on it at that website, so check it out. Principle of progression. The amount of and intensity of exercise should be increased gradually. Over a period of time, you're going to gradually increase your overload. You do not want to do this by starting out working out and then next day jumping into running a marathon. You want to progress gradually, whether that's running or lifting weights. You want that progression to be gradual. Taking a look at the threshold of training, we have a target fitness zone, which is right here. That is our target fitness zone, very much like our target heart rate monitor zone. The target ceiling is the top part of that target, which is anything above that would be too much exercise. Right in the middle is where we're going to build fitness, and anything below that is not going to be enough exercise, and we're not going to increase our fitness level. Having that inactivity down there is not where we want to be. Amounts of exercise are very high over here when we have too much high exercise, and very low for inactivity. So that is the threshold of training with the target fitness zone. Specificity states that specific types of exercises you do determines the specific benefit. Example would be lifting weights will only build muscle specific to that area that's lifted. If you do squats, it's going to work your glutes, quads, and hamstrings. It's not going to work your chest when you do squats. When you do bench press, it'll work your chest. It won't work your legs. And no stretching will result in poor range of motion. So if you don't stretch specifically, you're not going to increase your flexibility. So specificity. The FIT formula, F-I-T-T. We'll talk about this through our entire rest of the semester, our quarter, and next quarter also. FIT is frequency, intensity, time, and type. So if we take a look at frequency, frequency is how often physical activity is performed. Example would be 2 days a week. For us, our frequency is 5 days a week in class. So that is our frequency. If you're out in the real world where you don't have FIAT every day, it might be 3 days a week or 2 days a week. So that is frequency. Intensity is how hard the activity is performed, determined differently depending upon the types of activities. Some examples, heart rate for cardiovascular fitness. That was something that we would take a look at to determine our intensity. If we are in the weight room, or excuse me, let me rewind. We use 135 beats per minute to 195 beats per minute. So that is our intensity that we want to use when we're working cardiovascularly with heart rate monitors. The amount of weight that we lift in the weight room is, the intensity is gauged by the amount of pounds and how many reps and sets that we do. The time, total time, how long the activity is performed. It's usually dependent upon the type of activity. You can run for up to, people have run for up to 8 to 10 to 24 hours. The intensity would not be very high at that point, but you can do it. We have run for 16 minutes. We'll do a heart rate run here in the next couple of weeks, which we'll do 30 minutes of movement. So another example of time flexibility would be to hold each stretch for 15 seconds. That is one example. Cardiovascular activity, we want 20 plus minutes. So that is time. Type. refers to the kind of activity performed. One type of activity may be good for building one part of fitness, but not work on building another aspect of fitness. An example would be cardiovascular activity does not develop flexibility. Okay. Throughout ninth grade PE, we'll learn to use the FIT formula. We'll talk about type. Every activity has its own type. So we'll just start to use the phrase FIT because the final T we won't use when we're describing frequency, intensity, and time of the activity because the activity will be the type of activity that it is. So it's kind of redundant to use that last T. So when we talk about FIT, we'll use frequency, intensity, and time. All right? The activity that we're doing, we should know what that type is. The activity pyramid, this is a unique little area. Talks a lot about a lot of different things. If we take a look at level 1, lifestyle activities, we want a lot of lifestyle activities. If you take a look at the bottom, that base, it's really, really big. We want to do a lot of those activities. Walk rather than ride, take the stairs, do yard work, play golf, go bowling, play active games, we want this for F all or most of the day a week. The intensity is moderate. Again, it's not very intense. It's pretty low key. And for a total of 30 plus minutes. Right? So that is our level 1. If you take a look at level 2 has activity sports and recreation activities and then active aerobic activities. If you take a look at sports, inline skating, basketball, tennis, canoeing, hiking, dancing, we want those 3 to 6 days a week, moderate to vigorous intensity. We want to increase that heart rate and 20 or plus minutes. Same thing with the activity aerobics, biking, jogging, running, step aerobics, swimming, treadmill, stair steppers, 3 to 6 days a week, moderate or 20 minutes. Right? And you can work on both of those activities recreationally and then individual. These are more sport activities. These are more individual activities. You can do them with other people, but you are the individual doing them. Okay. Level 3, flexibility and muscular fitness, stretching, yoga, gymnastics, 3 to 7 days per week, moderate strength. Whoa, sorry, that was not good. We'll get back here. Oh, sorry. There we go. Sorry, that was not what I wanted to do. Back to level 3, flexibility activities, 3 to 7 days per week. We have a moderate stretch, 15 to 60 seconds for holding 1 to 3 sets. Working that to increase flexibility, that is the minimum that we need to do. Muscular fitness, weight training, calisthenics, wall climbing, 2 to 3 days per week, which is what we do. We lift 2 days a week. Moderate to vigorous resistance, 8 to 12 reps. That's what we do. We do 1 to 3 sets. We do 2 sets. The top level, it's the smallest level. This is something we want to avoid as much as possible. Sedentary living, watching TV, playing computer games, surfing the internet. Avoid these periods of 2 or more hours during the day. Okay, so we want to get ourselves up and move, and we want to do those for the least amount of time possible. On the bottom, it's the biggest. Again, less intense, more intense up here. All right, so how much fitness is enough? We take a look at some fitness rating categories. We'll go through these real quick. High performance. When you take a look at high performance, it's basically set for individuals that really want to improve their performance. Somebody who is participating in sports. They want to get the most out of their body. That's a high performance fitness rating. A good fitness rating is a fitness rating not quite as high, as intense as a high performance rating, but there, we want to have that good fitness rating, be able to get ourselves out of emergencies or help in emergencies if needed. That is a good fitness rating. Marginal fitness rating. Marginal fitness rating, we're still able to get ourselves out of emergencies, but not quite as good. Back to the good fitness, you're able to sustain a run for 20 minutes per se. Marginal fitness, we're not quite able to sustain that run for 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes, about half the time. And then low fitness. Low fitness, we're very, very borderline to not being able to help in emergencies, not being able to sustain a run for even 2 or 3 minutes. That's that low fitness level where we want to really improve. Now, as you take a look at these levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You may be at 1 and drop down because you don't work out as much. Here you may be at good fitness and able to improve to high performance fitness. Good fitness is where we want to get. We want everybody to get to good fitness. We want to get past that. Some factors that influence physical education, take a look at maturation, physical maturation. People who mature earlier, usually perform better on those fitness tests than those who mature later. It's just kind of the way it is. When you mature, you go through puberty, you have that spurt of testosterone, you're able to be stronger. Right? Age, older teens perform better on fitness tests. Again, dealing with the maturation kind of goes back to both of those, kind of go hand in hand. Heredity determine the physical characteristics inherited from parents. Some of those characteristics that are transferred to students allow you to be really good athletes. An example is fast twitch muscle fibers. The more fast twitch muscle fibers you get from your parents, the faster you're going to be. Doesn't mean you can't improve to get to that good fitness level that we want to achieve, but you may not get to that high performance level. And lastly, environment, where you live, school, city, suburbs, country. That's the big thing with that is you may not have access to go outside and play. You may not have access to and be able to get into a gym and do something, or even get into a weight room to do something. Also, the friends that you choose. Also, your social environment has a big play in that. The friends that you choose have an effect on your fitness level. Anyone can succeed. That's the biggest thing. If you put the effort in, anybody can succeed. You've got to be able to be willing to get out and move, be willing to put in some time and some effort and to do some work. We want to have a good quality of life. As you are young individuals, you get the idea that, I don't have to do any activity. As you get older, you become more physically mature. You don't have that fitness advantage, and sooner or later, that inactivity starts to catch up. We call this creeping obesity. You gain 2 pounds the first year. Well, if you gain 2 pounds over 10 years, that's 20 pounds that you have gained, and that's only 2 pounds. Some people gain 5, 10. If you gain 10 pounds a year in 10 years, that's 100 pounds that have crept up on you. So that is called creeping obesity. Regular physical activity and lifestyle choices are absolute necessary if fitness, health, and wellness are to occur for a lifetime. So get out, move, be healthy, eat good stuff. It increases your quality of your life. And lastly, choosing a good activity. Some things to consider. Think about your physical fitness, right? If you want to improve that physical fitness, take a look and consider that fitness level, trying to improve it, and find an activity that you can do that in. Consider your interests. If you like to skateboard, you can skateboard and still be active, moving up and down the ramps and jumping and all that type of activity. Consider an activity that can be done with others. The more that you are apt to do it with somebody else, the more you are apt to continue to do an activity. Consider the benefits from the activity. The benefits of sitting on the couch playing PlayStation, not as good as if you get up and use the Kinects for the PlayStation, Xbox. If you get up and use Kinects, you're moving, improving your fitness level. And practice. The more practice you do, the better off you're going to be at the activity, the more you're going to want to improve and continue to do it. And the last one, consider activities that do not require a high level of skill. The higher the skill level, the more apt you are to get discouraged and not want to do it. So this concludes our show and slideshow for the day. Hopefully you get a chance to go through it and take the quiz. Thanks. Have a great day.